Pop, what's going on, man?
What's going on, son? Congratulations. You're a new father to a nice little puppy there.
Yes, sir. New father. Puppy's not here right now. Got a play date. Very important to get out on that play date on the first day. So he's out being a puppy. I got some quiet time, some peace. So what better way to spend that quiet time than to get into the podcast,
With
guys?
your pop.
Gotta get into it. Gotta get into it. So, before we get started, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. We are less than 2 weeks away from week one of the Giants. The boys will be back once that schedule starts to our twice a week pre and post game pods. For the most part, there's going to have to be some creativity with Monday and Thursday night games, but we'll figure that out as we go. We always do. But you guys should expect you get a pregame before every game and you get a postgame before every game. Generally, Monday, Thursday. We'll work
Post game
around that.
after every game. Just
Yes, post game after every game, excuse me. Generally, on a typical week, you'll get a Monday morning post game and a Thursday morning pregame looking ahead to the weekend after. So, there's a lot of you new here that haven't been with us for the in season experience. Thank you for joining us. And this is really where we make our money here is the in season stuff. Off season, all kinds of fun chats and topics and stuff, but in season is really when we get down to it. So, don't forget, please like, comment, subscribe if you've enjoyed us thus far. And we've got a giveaway just like last year. Once we hit 2,000 subscribers, if we can hit 2,000 subscribers by week one, we will have a drawing. Tall order right now. We need to get locked in. I think we can do it. You think we can do it. That's why you're going to hit that subscribe button and you are going to go ahead and send an email to Dom and Pop Giveaway 1 at gmail.com. Again, that's Dom and Pop Giveaway 1 at gmail.com. Once we hit 2,000 subs, we're going to have a drawing. Pick a winner. That's going to be down in the pinned comment. If reading is more of your thing, check that out down below. Let's get into it. Let's talk some ball. How you feeling, Pop?
feeling good. Feeling good. Here we are. Preseason's done. Training camp's done. Cut down day is coming. I think your boy Sam Hartman might be looking over his shoulder a little bit. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Your godfather rescinded his Sam Hartman QB2 prediction with
Yeah.
me yesterday. So
Good.
we'll talk a little about that. I don't want to pick on Sammy too much, but yeah, we thought we'd get into a little bit about what we like after preseason and training camp and what we kind of don't like right now. I guess we'll start with the don't like. So we start with it's kind of like eating your green beans first on your plate so you can save the good stuff for later. So
Well,
um,
for our fan base, this is the good stuff. Our fan base loves talking about what they don't like and what's been stressful for them. I mean, Jesus, you guys would think we're 3-11 right now during the
don't bite the
regular
hand that
season.
feeds us,
Come
son.
on, fellas. Come on, fellas. It's preseason. The Patriots went 0-4 in their 16-0 year.
I got
They
some
went 0
comments
four in the
about that.
preseason.
I got
It's
some comments
preseason.
about that are a
You've
little
got guys
contrary.
the only time that Dan Quinn, and we're going to break down this probably in the what we liked, but the only time that Dan Quinn actually played guys that will be relevant to the outcome of football games this year, we put belt to you know what. So I'm not really thinking too much about it, but what I didn't like this season, obviously going 0-3 in the preseason, you would love to
Let's
see things
start with
look
that
better,
one. Let's start with
right?
that one since you're on that.
We didn't love that. That ties into the second thing, which is Sam
I
Hartman and the QB3 battle. But you lost 48-18 to the Pats. You lost 31-17 to the Bengals, 30-3 to the Ravens. The only time you had starters in or relevant players in really was the first few series against the Bengals, where we looked really good. That was all of the preseason I watched. Frankly, I had other things going on during the other times, but I'm not concerned about losing to the Pats and the Ravens in the fashion that we did. Um, but Pop is about to drop some knowledge, so I'm going to let him go first. Go ahead, Pop.
Let me go first. I thought you crushed your point. I don't love it. I'm just going to say that I don't love getting blown out in preseason. I don't love if it's their backups against ours. I guess with the Pats, it was their starters against our backups. But if you look especially at that last game, Maybe you let the Pats game slide, but our backups against their backups were just getting wiped off the field. And I don't love it. I'm going to just say that. Am I making a big deal about it? No. But I don't like the fact that we're just getting destroyed. And I realize the Ravens' approach to preseason, I kind of like how they approach it. I like the fact that you just have a mindset that every game's important. Maybe a lot of it has to do with, the performance of quarterback being as poor as it was. And you're just, giving the ball to the other team. But I'm not going to overreact to it. I mean, certainly the fact that we've got a ton of our best players, not only starters but second stringers, not playing is no reason to overreact. But I don't love the fact that we're just getting wiped off the field. I feel like if there's something that we could maybe focus on correcting a little bit, going forward, it's to try to figure out a way to just be a bit more competitive with our backups. Doc Walker was on the radio talking about it. I was like, look, these guys are competing for their lives, and you're just not seeing the fire and it feels like culturally we just don't put a lot of relevance or importance on it. And I would say anytime we strap up and get on the field, I'd like to see us be more competitive than what we've seen in the preseason. It's not going
Sure.
to change my outlook or my vibes about this team. I'll qualify by saying that, but I don't love what I saw out there in preseason.
That's fair. I mean, nobody likes seeing a blowout, right? But call it what it is, right? The Pats, Vrabel's a total hardo. He's a total old school. I'm going to play everybody. Injuries happen. Football is football kind of guy. He's got his starters out there. He's got basically his starting lineup out there. We've got 30 guys on the bench. I'm not worried about it. And then you look at the Ravens again, same thing. The Ravens take the preseason extremely seriously. They have that like undefeated streak that we broke a couple of years ago. And look at how that season looked. We're on here. Oh, look at the fight. Look at how good Sam Howell played against the Ravens in preseason. It went down to the wire. Joey Sly hit the field goal. And it was the worst Commanders season of my lifetime. So I'm not too worried about the way that went because at the end of the day, guys, this is year two of a massive rebuild. And Adam Peters has done a fantastic job of building the top half of this roster. Unbelievable job. But it
That's a good
just
point.
takes days and hours and weeks and months and years to fill out all 53 spots. So if you look at the depth of the offensive line compared to last year, you look at the depth of the quarterback room compared to last year. He has built depth into this roster pretty far down. Last year is like you had a shaky starting 11 on both sides. This year, you've got a great starting 11 and a decent set of backups, and then it gets shaky. So it's just taking time. I'm
Well,
not too worried about it. And I think
I,
Peters is going to continue to be aggressive and churn that roster over on the lower half of the
I also will
53.
say, I mean, I think there's a flawed logic to not liking our depth because you got to remember when the backup comes in because of an injury, right? Um, he's going to be playing next to other starters. So it's not a
Exactly.
backup playing next to a whole nother set of backups where, it's just a cumulative effect. And, so I think it's a good point by you. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10 and worry, it's probably a 1 or a 2. It's not high on my list, but I can't wait for regular season football. Jeez, the preseason is just
Horrible.
like you said, there was 2 drives this preseason to get excited about and actually enjoy. And that did have a little bit of a start, regular season vibe. Monday Night Football, out against the Bengals, really exciting. And I'm not worried at all. I could care less whether Jaden Daniels plays a snap or not. I'd rather bubble him up and keep him safe. I'm on that page of things. Um, I guess maybe not having Marcus Mariota available at all, and you're going third, fourth deep, and your quarterbacks, put you at a real competitive disadvantage from the jump in these
So that's
games.
the other part of it is Marcus Mariota. We've heard now it's like a little Achilles thing he was dealing with in the offseason. Going to be ready to go week
Seems like
one.
he's good. Yeah.
They've been very careful with making sure that he is ready to go and in good shape. So he hasn't played because you know exactly what you're going to get out of that guy, and that is top five backup in the league. Marcus Mariota is an elite backup quarterback. We saw it last year. He's as good as you could ask for a guy that's coming in. And that's a big part of it too, is you've got Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson, who are two of the worst quarterbacks I have ever seen, particularly Hartman. I mean, I don't want to hammer on the guy too much. He's living his dream. He's playing more football than I've ever played professionally. Props to him. I
That's a
hope he goes
classic
on
Italian. I don't
to
want to.
have a
The
great,
worst
yeah.
quarterback I've ever seen, but I don't want to hammer the guy too.
Well, I mean, the poor guy is just getting absolutely. I mean, you would have thought he committed an act of mass violence on
He was
Commander's Twitter. Like
he
he's just
was
they're
terrible.
destroying the poor guy.
He was terrible.
Um, some breaking news here. The Browns have released Tyler Huntley. Make the call. Make the call. That's QB3 right there. But yeah, Sam Hartman's got to go. I think there's going to be a line out the door between Abercrombie and Fitch, Hollister, Pantene, Calvin Klein. He's going to have a great career, but it ain't slinging the
I
rock,
mean, yeah,
and
even
certainly
if
not
it's,
for this team.
I don't know whether the friendship between him and Jaden is that valuable enough that you take a practice squad spot up with him. I don't know what you do with Josh Johnson. We'll get into the 53-man roster projections quickly a bit later, but yeah, poor Sammy. I mean, he just doesn't look like an NFL quarterback. That's for sure.
Yeah, you've
Painful to
just
watch.
it's a seventh round guy that you draft to be your backup for a couple years, and at the end of the day, he's got cool hair, so he got a little bit hyped up, and we're sick in this town when it comes to quarterbacks. But at the end of the day, this is kind of the cycle for most of those guys.
Yeah,
So wishing you the best in your next venture, Sam.
he's no
Um,
Sammy Howell, that's for sure.
no, and that definitely well might be closer than you care to admit. But that we'll hit that in the around the NFL later. That'll be fun. But that certainly contributes to the losses in the preseason as well. So moving forward, what we liked. Enough negative, right? We led with the vegetables, led with the negative stuff.
Well, there was
Let's
one
get into
thing
the
you skipped
positive stuff.
over.
Oh, that's true. And this is the
Big
worst
one.
part. The Terry situation. I'm gonna give you my
Yeah.
2 cents on it, and then we're gonna move on. And then you can give your 2 cents on it too, but I'm not gonna say anything after I say this. Somebody's gonna have to feel a little bit of pain here. I think both sides are gonna have to feel a little bit of pain here. We're probably gonna have to pay him a little more than we want. He's probably gonna have to take a little less than he wants. Let's get this deal done. If this deal is not done by week one, I don't want to see him. Stay home. Don't bring the hoodie and the pouting and the negative vibes to the sidelines. Stay home. I love Terry. I think he's a great culture guy. I think he's been a great culture guy. I don't know what is going on with this and his head. I'm starting to get negative vibes. Finally, I'm probably a little late to the party, but I will tell you, week one against the New York Giants, you either have that hood off and you're in pads and you're ready to arrive violently, or you're at home with your dog and your new wife and you're having a blast doing something else. Play Madden, do whatever else you want. Stay away from the team that game. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, it makes no sense. We've broken this Terry situation down every week for the last how many weeks, and it makes absolutely no sense for him to miss game checks. I will say, I didn't love the body language, but I also think that it's probably a situation that's just really weighing on him. I don't think he's purposely going out there and trying to like sulk and put on a show. And obviously, he doesn't want to hear the negative reactions for the fans. But I feel like my biggest point is this has already reached a point where it's hurt the team. Because even if he starts practicing tomorrow, it's not enough time to really get ready. You know, count on a slow start. Count on it. Right now, he could get one big play here or there, and people will be like, "I told you," and "Pop, you're a dummy." Wouldn't be the first time, but he's already hurt. This situation has already hurt the team, right? And I've said I don't blame Terry for what he's done up to this point, right? To try and get as much money as he can. I don't blame Adam Peters for his position on this thing and saying, "Hey, it's just too much." But but you're asking for too much. But this is at a point right now, even if it's resolved tomorrow morning, it's already hurt the team and hurt where we are to start. And I don't know. It's crazy. It's just crazy because, the reporting is they're getting closer, but like we're we're beyond the point starting right now where this has to get resolved. And yes, if he plays out the year and plays out the contract, what are those vibes really going to look like? Because he's got to play.
Yeah.
Sitting out makes no sense. And I don't know how, if you're Terry at a certain point, he looks like he has the weight of the world on his shoulders, but you've just got to fricking sign their best offer. I mean, it's the smart move for Terry. Forget about him doing right by the fan base or doing right by the team. He doesn't owe any of us any of that. It's the smart move for him because his value is not going to get more a year from now. It's just not. He's got to sign and it's got to
He's
get done. It's just got to get done.
it's pretty clear that it's some combination of he's got a bad attitude, he's getting bad advice, and he's got his agent sucks. It's some combination of those three. It's probably a little bit of each. Frankly, there's an element of like Terry walked on water until, you know, this here. So I think this is the first time he's received any real pushback or any real kind of negative thing. And I think what the team is doing, in my opinion, is excellent because I see this as listen, we are not going to let you slow this operation down. We got Debo Samuel. We drafted a stud wide receiver. This ship is leaving the port and headed to San Francisco with or without you. You can get on or you can leave. Those are your choices. We're not trading you. You could get on or you could sit home and you can lose your checks. I think that's the end of it. And I think Terry's got to have a little bit of a come to Jesus moment. And, we talk about it all the time. I can be empathetic to a guy who wants to get paid market value. At the same point, what does $12 million pre
If
tax
if what
make
we're
a
hearing
difference
if
for,
what
for
we're
a guy
hearing is
that's,
true and if they're in the high 20s now and the difference is 3 or 4 mil at some point, it just needs to be either needs to be a quick and reasonable counter that says, hey, get me to 30 and we signed a deal. But anyway, I think we've crushed this one. Let's get on to some
yeah.
positive
So
vibes here.
the most positive vibes and the reason why this thing is headed to San Francisco with or without Terry McLaurin is that Jaden Daniels is still our quarterback one.
Yeah.
Um, Nothing but good things to say about him. I don't even want to spend a ton of time on it because it's just wasted time. It's fun to talk about, but he's so darn good. Everything about him is perfect. Let's just keep him upright and let's go win
Yeah.
a dozen games. That's all I
I
care about.
mean, I would say if you ask the question, are you more confident or less confident after the preseason? I would say I won't say I'm less confident because I'm not, but I've gotten more reasons. Maybe it's the Terry situation. Maybe it's the preseason results, which may not mean anything at all. There's more reason I've had for concern. But then when you just stop and you think, Jaden Daniels, you think about week one against the Giants. Is Jaden Daniels going to let us lose that game at home, a home opener? Right? Is that really going to happen? So it's just, and then, just so impressive in terms of just his approach, his leadership, kicking guys out of the huddle because they weren't, ready to play on the offensive line. They're jumping off sides, but he's able to work that. And I love, he just reminds me a lot of Commanders co-owner Magic Johnson, and I know that's an old guy reference, but those of you that are in my age group, guy would smile, guy would laugh, guy would chat up the opponent. Wasn't, I would say, a big trash talker, smiling, kind of chatting him up, but he was an assassin as a
Yeah.
player. He would take your heart and bring his team to victory, and that's what we got in Jaden. And he's the reason, more than anything else, to be super optimistic. I think that and what we've done to protect him with the offensive line, I think we've seen some really good signs there as well. There's lots of reason for optimism there.
Yeah. We've made some serious roster upgrades. Maybe we've made a little addition by subtraction. We'll talk about that in a bit here. But we've made some serious roster upgrades. And I want to start in the trenches personally. Pop put a great list here together, but I want to start in the trenches. Javon Kinlaw, Laramie Tunzel, Dietrich Wise Jr., Josh Connerly, Brandon Coleman now moving inside to guard because of the Laramie Tunzel acquisition. They are starting to move dudes around on
Yeah,
both sides of the football, and I
yeah,
love it. Kinlaw just looks angry out there, man.
yeah.
Kinlaw looks that is a bad dude. I'm starting to sound like John Gruden. I'm getting so fired up. I just love. I
Love
mean,
it.
he's just grabbing
We
dudes
got
and
to
just
dress you
putting them
up
where
like
he
Gruden
wants
one
them.
day. Dye your
That'd be
hair
fun.
blonde.
Get a visor and a wig, shave clean. I mean, the issue is the clean shave. It'll be a tough sell. Tell you what, 5,000 subscribers by the new year. I'll
I
do a
love it.
whole podcast as John Gruden.
I
All
love it.
right. All right. But they're just moving dudes around. And Josh Connerly, I was like, on draft night threw a fit when we passed on Jahad Campbell and took Connerly and said, I threw an absolute tantrum. But that guy looks filthy. And he looks to me like,
Yeah,
honestly, you give Tunzel one of those like 2-year all guaranteed deals once Tunzel turns 35. Thank you for your service. You move Connolly over to that left side. He looks like he's got that potential to be a franchise left tackle.
well,
And
and
the
the
kid's
and the one
21.
opportunity we had to see him ones versus ones, right, in that Bengals game, he was
Dog.
impressive. He was
Dog.
impressive.
Yeah. Trey Amos just rested with the starters, not even getting the ball thrown at him when they put him out there. They've said, I think Logan Paulson said he was waiting all preseason to go, yep, that's a rookie there. And he just never did. There was never a moment. He's just a stud
He's this
NFL
year's Mikey
corner.
Sinistro.
And Mike Samerstill is legit,
We're ready
dude.
for the
Like,
season. Look at that
yeah,
connection. Look at that
yeah.
connection.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me too is the second year players that are starting to move forward. And I want to give a shout out again because you know what? Frankly, he was the butt of the joke on this program for a long time. I want to give a shout out to Andrew Wiley. Andrew Wiley's been off to a hot start. Played pretty well last year,
Great
playing
depth
really
guy.
well this point in the year. I think he's going to become like the Cornelius Lucas of this offensive line. Once everybody's healthy, he's going to be that guy you can kind of just throw him everywhere. You know, he's going to be a dog. Um, and you're seeing similar things from Chris Paul too, a little further down the depth chart. But you're seeing similar things. I just love what's going on in the trenches. And then you add Debo Samuel. You add Chris Rodriguez is coming back. It's his third year. But all of a sudden now Chris Rodriguez is going to be getting a lot of touches. You add Jackery Krosky Merritt, Bill Merritt is going to be getting a lot of touches because, like I said earlier, we may have done a little bit addition by subtraction. Brian Robinson, like that, all of a sudden, you go from this guy that was really highly favored and things just fell apart so fast. And all of a sudden now he's in San Francisco, traded for a sixth round pick. At the end of the day, I think this is great general managing. You get something for a guy that you were going to cut and definitely wasn't going to be a part of the long term. Anyways, that's what we did with John Ridgeway. We got a little more money for Jahan Dotson because Howie Roseman has got a little bit of a gambling streak, loves to make those trades. So we kind of took advantage of that with the Dotson trade last year. But B Rob goes to the San Francisco 49ers for a sixth rounder. What is your reaction to the whole Brian Robinson situation and now the emergence of this new look run game with Chris Rodriguez breaking 20 miles an hour, Bill Merritt, like they don't even want to give him the ball in the preseason because he looks like he's going to be a demon, and the O-line just moving guys around. What's your reaction to the whole
Well, I think
changes
that's
out
the
here?
point, right? I think I'm not sure they went into this offseason thinking that Brian Robinson was going to be a trade target. I think they went in the offseason thinking he's RB1. But then the draft happens. You get a guy late that you feel like is way underdrafted, because of the situation that he had having to sit out a year. And quite frankly, Chris Rodriguez. It's like I was asking your Uncle Nick straight up. I said, you look at Chris Rodriguez and his performance, a smaller sample size. You look at what you've seen out of Brian Robinson. Who do you think's been the better back? And look, we love Brian Robinson. We're big Brian Robinson fans. I think I'm happy to see he land in San Francisco, other than if they play us in the playoffs or whatever. I hope he doesn't perform well, but I think that's a good spot for him. I think we could end up seeing him. It just feels like a better fit in terms of the style of run game that they have, and anyone can maximize a runner. It's Kyle Shanahan out there, but
Yep.
I just think the fact that we got an emergence of a bunch of guys that can make a Brian Robinson expendable, and getting a 6th round pick for him is about the best we could do. There was interest there. Why not pick another pick that maybe you can package in and move up later? So yeah, I think overall, um, hate to see Brian go just as a person, as a guy. I'll be rooting for him, but the fact that we've got enough depth at running back now that we can make a move like that, it's great to see, and hopefully that bet they're placing on Krosky Merritt works out. Vibes are high on it though.
Yeah. You're essentially trading uh B Rob and a fifth for Debo Samuel and a sixth. So make of that what you will.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna make of it. Adam Peters, you're a dog. I think that's it for these topics. Frankly, we could talk a
I
little
just
more
gonna.
running
I
back
mean,
when we
I
get
just
to the
want to add
53,
one
but
one
go
little
ahead.
nugget. It was good to see Brandon Coleman back out there yesterday. Jordan McGee played. That was good to see. And you see Noah Brown in warmups, looking good, looking really good with the burst. So, in fact, that some of these injured guys, you mentioned Mariota's good by all accounts. But some of these injured guys look like they're ready to play, going to be ready for more than ready for week one. That's a real positive as well.
100%, 100%. I love all of it, man. I think it's got a lot of potential. So moving into these 53-man roster projections, I'm going to quickly read through the guys and then we will stop and give short takes if you want. I was trying to explain to my girlfriend Morgan that the 53-man roster, there's all this hype around it. And at the end of the day, she was asking me, she's like, why do they even play a third preseason game if nobody's going to play? And I'm like, it's really for that last half dozen guys towards the bottom of the roster that are fighting for those last 3 or 4 spots. And who's going to be on the practice squad? Who's going to go on practice squads elsewhere around the league? It's really for that kind of thing. And so the 53 cutdowns, you probably got an idea of about 40, 45 going into the offseason of these guys that are going to make the team. And then you cut down to 53 and you've got a couple surprises here and there. But, anyways, going through it real quick. Quarterbacks, they have us keeping two, which I think we probably start the season keeping two. Maybe we add a third later. Jaden Daniels, Marcus Mariota. Um, Running backs, Austin Eckler, Jackery Krosky Merritt, Bill Merritt. I got to get out of the habit of saying Corey Jackery, he likes Bill. Bill Merritt, Chris Rodriguez Jr., and Jeremy McNichols. They got us keeping 4 running backs there. I think that's pretty solid. Wide receivers, 6, Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel, Noah Brown, Jalen, Luke McCaffrey, KJ Osborne. So no Michael Gallup, no is it Brooks? This is the other guy, and Brooks and Moore are the two guys they've liked.
Yeah,
But
another Jacory. Yeah,
they say they're gonna go with the more steady veteran hand there. Luke McCaffrey makes me raise an eyebrow, but we can talk about that once we get to the end of this here. We're going to do all the offense and take a little break. Tight ends, Zach Ertz, John Bates, Ben Sinnott, Colson Yankoff. Offensive line, Laramie Tunzel, Brandon Coleman, Tyler Biadasz, Josh Connerly Jr., Andrew Wiley, Nick Allegretti, George Fant, Chris Paul, Michael Dieter.
George
Defensive
Fant's
line.
a new pickup.
Or that's,
Nice,
yeah,
nice
George Fant's a new
veteran,
pickup.
nice veteran tackle ad
Yeah,
there.
because we lost. We had a younger tackle from Kansas City who tore his ACL. So they've added Fant to kind of fill that in. I guess Michael Dieter's probably your backup center. But what sticks out to you out of all of this, Pop? Anything interesting on the offensive side
I
of the
think
ball you
that
want to
no,
touch
I
on?
mean, I'll be real quick. I think the 4 running backs make sense. I love the fact that Chris Rodriguez Jr. has elevated himself into a non-practice squad guy and part of that 53. Love that. I think he's going to be getting RB1 snaps maybe with Bill. That's going to be really interesting in week one. I hear what you're saying about Luke. I just don't think they're ready to go there yet. Um, we haven't seen it on the field, but apparently there's been some, film study where he's gotten a bit of separation and the ball just didn't get there. We talked about how hard it is to evaluate wide receivers with the quarterback play. And we've had this preseason, and Jaden Daniels did not throw a pass. Neither did Marcus Mariota. So tough to evaluate. A little bit surprised. I mean, I still think that sixth spot is a bit of a wild card. Is it going to be Osborne? Is it going to be one of the other guys you mentioned? I don't know. I like the fact that Yankoff makes it at tight ends. He's shown some, you know, some burst there. I think he's a versatile guy. I'm not going to get into offensive line. I mean, I guess the fact that Trent Scott isn't on that list is a little bit of a surprise, but ultimately, probably not that big a deal, right? So,
Yeah, it says
but
if you
get a
put
little
Cosby on the
size tier
top.
in these names in the starting group. I mean, this 53-man group on offense, right? We talked a little bit about concerns about depth, but there's not many guys you read off that I look at and go, maybe, maybe Luke is one of them.
Yeah, I think it depends on who else comes free across the NFL too, right? Like there might be some other guys that get cut that you prefer, or maybe bring something new to the table. You still don't really have that big body at receiver, but I guess you're going to use Ertz in that role mostly.
Noah Brown's kind of that guy.
Yeah, not really, but kind of. Of the crew, he definitely is. But you don't have that like Cam Sims type player. OG
KJ
Washington football
Osborne's got
team
decent size, right?
hero. He's okay, but again, not known as a size guy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the wide receiver thing gets interesting at the bottom. I could see either or none of those two guys, McCaffrey and Osborne, making it. Um, but I don't think they give up on McCaffrey quite yet, but you might see him get cut like in the middle of the season if they have to make room for something else or something like that. On the offensive line, I think yeah, Trent Scott and Michael Dieter. It's going to come down to those two, and I think that's going to come down to how confident they feel about Allegretti at center, because he's been taking some snaps at center, no pun intended. Um, but otherwise, I say we move on to the defense. Not too many surprises here overall. Um, you ready to do defense, Pop?
Yes.
Cool.
Please.
So defensive line: Von Miller, Dorrance Armstrong, Deron Payne, Johnny Newton, Javon Kinlaw, Dietrich Wise Jr., Jacob Martin, Javante Jean Baptiste, Eddie Goldman, and Cleveland Farrell. Um, they said you've got Carl Davis Jr. could be fringe.
Jalen
Maybe
Holmes.
Jalen Holmes could be a fringe guy as well. With Cleveland Farrell and Jean Baptiste potentially being surprise cuts. Jean Baptiste, at the end of the day, is the seventh rounder who has not been able to stay healthy. He's flashed a couple times, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he's dealing with an injury thing right now. So, can you cut him while he's hurt and sneak him onto your practice squad? I don't know. These guys are better at this kind of stuff than I am. Linebackers: Bobby Wagner, Frankie Luvu, Jordan McGee, Ken Madrano, Nick Ballore. Ballore's there just for specials, and then the rest
Yeah.
is what it is. Keep an
Yeah.
eye out for Cajo, who's played really well, but undrafted. So maybe he ends up
Yeah. Practice
starting on
squad.
the P squad. Cornerback: Marshall Lattimore, Mike Samersville, Trey Amos, Noah Iguanagani, and Jonathan Jones. Nothing else to do there.
Big upgrade for this group.
Huge
That and
upgrade from
safety is
this
what you're
group.
going to get into next. I'm really like what I see in these two groups.
Safety group, I think, might be one of the strongest groups on the team. Is Quan Martin, Will Harris, Percy Butler, Jeremy Reeves, and Tyler Owens. We've seen all of these guys make plays so far in the preseason. And
I
then,
like the cornerback group a little better.
ooh, I disagree, but I like. It's close, but I disagree.
I like the cornerback
Specialists:
group a little better.
Expressway, Matt Gay, Tyler Ott. That is what it is.
But our guess
Um,
arguing over that secondary, which is the stronger group, is fantastic, right?
a good
That's,
place to be, huh?
you can see the AP's putting in some work there. So I don't
Yeah,
have a whole lot to say about defense that we haven't already said. I mean, I do think, I think we got better across the board. I think this is going to be an improved defense. And I think that, where people say, we're playing a tougher schedule, tougher defenses this year, might slow down our offense a bit. Maybe, maybe not. I still think it's going to be a top 5 offense. If this can become a top 15, fringe top 10 defense, that makes a big difference. And that can keep us at that, 12 range or better range, or maybe even dare I say, contending for the division. I do, I do think when the starters have been in there, or when we've seen some of the starters in there, we've seen some some good things, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think depth is a real concern for me in the secondary specifically. I mean, Lattimore, Samerstill, Amos, you feel as good about that starting three as you feel about any other one in the NFL that doesn't include like Sauce Gardner or Pat Surtain. But once you get down to Noah Igbenogany, Jonathan Jones, I start to get
Yeah,
a little bit of palpitations. Whereas I feel like our safety group is much deeper. But that's pretty much all I have to say defensively. Good to see Jordan McGee out there and healthy. Played well in that preseason game. Same with Kane Madrano. Might be trending positively a little bit faster than we expected. Um, so I
agree.
say we move this thing on. A little quick peek ahead to the season here. We've got the Giants first week, week one. Then the Packers on Thursday Night Football, week two. Raiders 1 p.m. week three, and Falcons 1 p.m. week four. And then I think we don't have any more 1 p.m. games until 2028.
Yeah, try
Um,
to obviously it's not perfect quads anymore in the season, but let's just focus on this first quad of 4 games real quick. I make this a 60-second, you know, quick hit segment. We're going to get into full Giants pregame. That'll be our next podcast. It's going to be a full
crazy.
Giants pregame.
Oh
Maybe
well,
we'll talk a little bit about 53-man roster,
ain't
but
there a week between?
yeah, that's our next podcast next
That's
Sunday.
wild. Yeah,
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 but
that is wild.
so we'll get in full Giants. I think that this quad really is those first 2 games. Do you come out and take care of business against the Giants? That's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a
Yeah,
battle. And I think, five, when you got five, you got a chance, and certainly we'll be favorites there. And I expect us to get that win. But then that Giant game and a quick turnaround on the road against the Packers, always tough. You get those two, and all of a sudden now you got Raiders, Falcons, which you feel pretty confident about. Could be a hell of a start to this season. But you drop them, it's a whole nother vibe check coming. So what's your level of
yeah.
confidence going into those 4 games?
You got to come out of this first four 3-1 at least. I want to leave room for one because I think the Packers on Thursday Night Football is a tough out. I think the Raiders are gonna be. I think the Raiders and Falcons are around the same level, but the Falcons could be a team that comes out on fire. If Penix is putting it together,
Yeah,
that's a good team, and they want their get back. We knocked them out of the playoffs last year in Penix's first start. So I think if you drop any one, you have to beat the Giants. Week one, must win game. Crazily enough to say, but you got to beat the Giants. And then you've got Packers, Raiders, Falcons. If you drop any one of those, as long as it's not in like 35-3 fashion, I feel okay about it. Um, but I think you want to
it
be
sets
talking
you up
4-0
potentially for a
internally.
hot start, right? Because
Yeah,
you got Giants at home, you got Packers on the road. Yeah, it's a tough game, but it's JD5 and his first national TV game of the season. You got to feel like you got a decent chance at that. Maybe that's the closest to a 50-50 game.
yeah.
Raiders after essentially a mini bye week back at home, they got to travel cross country. You got to feel pretty good about that, and we're better than the Falcons. Any
And
given Sunday, something can happen, but we're better than the Falcons.
well, yeah. I mean, the bottom line is you gotta look at all these teams and go, regardless of if the 1 through 53 or 2 through 53 is better, are they that much better than us that it can make up for the deficit between their quarterback and our quarterback? And there's nobody on this list that is there, at least those
Well
first
said.
four.
Yeah.
Especially, you don't know what the Green Bay Packers are. A lot of people are saying they're going to be tough. Look, man, I got a lot invested into Jordan Love, and I really like him as a player. I'm very high on him. He is one volatile quarterback. He can win you or lose you a game any given week, and you don't know which one's going to show up at any time.
Yeah.
So that's a giant question mark
I
there, and
don't
not to
think
mention
anyone's going to
health.
argue that Jordan Love's a better quarterback than our guy, than
No,
JD.
no, I don't think anybody would say that.
But we'll
But
see in the comments.
yeah, but I could see like We get off to a 2-0 start, and then Pete Carroll kind of gets us one against the Raiders. I could see that. That's a trap game. That's
Much
a Hallmark
improved
trap
Raiders
game.
team for sure. But it's the
But
NFL. Any given Sunday, you better show up, play.
yeah, last point until we go around the NFL. They did a hell of a job at that last year. We kept saying trap game, and then they would win 42-14.
That's
So
true.
this team does not play down to their opponent.
Well, I think if I was going to wrap up this segment for me real quick, would be you got an opportunity to get off to a hot start, but you better get off to a hard start. I agree with you, right? If you're not at least 3-1 coming out of these four, then you've dug yourself a little bit of hole. Doesn't mean the season is not going to be good. I think we were 2-2 last year, weren't we? I don't remember, but doesn't mean the season's not going to be good. But you know, you've got an opportunity to start quick, and that would certainly bode well for them if they could.
No, we started 3-1 last year because
Yeah,
we
already blew.
lost to Tampa, and then we beat New
We
York,
were 1-1.
Cincy,
We were 1-1.
1-1. Yeah,
Yeah,
lost to Tampa, and then had the Giants week 2, beat them without scoring a touchdown. Shout out to what was the kid's name? The kicker, Austin Seibert. Yeah, shout out to Seibert. 7 field goals to win us that game. Um, Going around the NFL. Are you ready for around the NFL, Pop?
yeah. I
Ready to
just picked
ditch
out
the
a couple of fun
ditch the
stories
fantasy a
here.
little bit?
Obviously, it's this late in the pod, it's hard to get everything that's going around. But I just picked out three fun stories to kind of just touch on real quick.
So, the Minnesota Vikings have shaken up their depth behind starting quarterback J.J. McCarthy, signing Carson Wentz
Breaking
and
news.
trading Sam Howell to the Philadelphia Eagles. In exchange for Howell, the Vikings got a 5th round and a 7th round pick. And Philly got a 6th round pick back along with Howell. So it's basically a pick swap. Um,
I don't know, man. I don't. Is it a pick swap? A fifth and a seventh? I know you get a sixth back for Sam Howell.
you
Man,
kind of got
Howie must really
some.
like him. That. I don't know. I found that was kind of wild because he hasn't played well since he left Washington.
He's awful.
He, he hasn't been good, and
He's awful.
he
He's
hasn't
a
looked good as a backup. But I think the Vikings were excited about bringing him in. Um, it's an interesting move for the Eagles. Who else do they have at quarterback?
They've got this it's this they got this white guy behind Jalen Hurts that they like that plays pretty well.
This
McKee, I think. Tanner McKee. That's the
not
only way
narrow,
I can
not narrow,
recognize him.
not narrow. Sit down.
Uh that's the only way I can identify him. That's all I got. I think it's Tanner McKee is his name.
Okay,
Um he's
so
good.
they
He's a
obviously
big
don't have anything that
legit backup.
blowing them away. Yeah,
But yeah, clearly they want Howell as a part of the program. I assume Howie's doing this because he thinks, oh, we can put Howell behind our loaded team during the preseason next year and we can get a 4th rounder for him from somebody else. Don't believe the Sam Howell hype.
Kyle
Dude
McCord is
stinks.
their current backup.
Kyle McCord, Tanner McKee, I was close.
Kyle McCord, and they've got Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Who made some noise for Cleveland last year, got a couple starts. Dude,
Yeah,
I wouldn't touch.
their quarterback depth is a bit of a problem. So, but I don't know, counting on old Sammy Howell to fix that. At least I would have been much high when he left us. I would have been much higher on this kind of move because I
Yeah,
thought, hey, this is a guy that at least if he gets in better coaching and in the right system, could at least be a good backup. But he just hasn't done it since he's left. That's the shocking part of this news for me.
that dude stinks. I'm sorry. I know, Pop, you're higher on him than I am.
I
He's a bad.
was not sure I am anymore.
You've been historically,
Yeah,
he's a bad quarterback. You put that guy in, you're going to lose. That's how I feel at
I
this point.
wouldn't miss that often. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his at all. And speaking of Carson Wentz, I mean, there's 8 billion people on this earth. There has got to be somebody other than Carson Wentz you trust to be the backup quarterback for a team that was a Super Bowl contender last year and hopes to be a Super Bowl contender this year with better quarterback play.
Maybe there is a spot for Sammy Hartman in this league.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I tell you what, that's a quarterback competition I would not want to watch. That's got to come with those little puke bags. If you got to watch those two duke it out of training camp like you get on the airplane. Um, Speaking of rough starts and bad play, the Sanders boys are both in hot water. Shiloh, did Shiloh get drafted?
I'm not sure.
Shiloh got cut by the Bucks. He ended up getting ejected for throwing a punch. He's not. They're not going to let him back in
I
the
want to
league
say
after
no, he
that.
didn't, but
And then Shadur has looked pretty rough. He got off to a good start in the preseason, but you haven't gotten much from him since. Um, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. A lot of Browns fans are complaining about the you know the treatment Shadur's getting, but he's not producing in the opportunities he is getting. So who knows how that's going to pan out?
it's a tough
They've got a lot of
situation, right?
quarterbacks there.
And I'm not putting this on there because I mean, I would say we're Deion Sanders fans, and generally like what he's been doing, and I think he's trying to do right by his kids. So if I'd say anything, I'm rooting for them to do well. But they're off to a tough start. I mean, all accounts, they're expecting Shadur to make the roster, but it's a tough situation to walk into. When you're bypassed, you're the second quarterback they drafted. How much are they going to really dedicate to you? Although that quarterback situation there, Joe Flacco as the starter is not, certainly not the best. But when you're backing up, you're taking all those sacks, you're losing 20 yards on sacks. It's just not looking great so far. But
Yeah,
anyway, I think he's got an uphill battle at this
I think
point.
so too. I'd be
Yeah,
interested to see if he gets a look elsewhere, if he gets cut, or what ends up being what happens. Definitely keep an eye out on
he's just got to
this
keep his
one.
head down and keep working. I mean, it's stating the
Yeah.
obvious. I'm sure his dad is telling that he's got to get his head in the playbook, which keep working hard. That's all he can do.
Um, Speaking of guys that are not working right now, Micah Parsons,
Took a little
uh,
nappy nap. Got a little
took a
tired during
nappy
the game.
nap. Good for him, bro. Honestly, if I was dealing with Jerry Jones, I would be doing the same
He
thing,
went
man.
night night. He went
I'm
night night.
all team Micah. I hate the guy. I mean, he's a cowboy and he's the best cowboy they've had in years. I can't stand the guy. But man, do I love me some Michael Parsons right about now. He is legit. He's taking a nap on the training table during the Cowboys preseason finale. Maybe he was saying the quiet part out loud about the NFL preseason. Just it stinks. Why do they even bother putting it on
His
TV?
back's hurting apparently, so maybe he was just trying to
Yeah,
stretch it out. But wasn't
sir.
a good look.
Um,
Wasn't a good look.
Jerry Jones um, has been doing Jerry Jones things. He claimed that he offered Parsons the richest non-quarterback contract in football, and at this point, we're almost an hour into this pod, so I'm just going to say it. He says Parsons' agent told him to stick the offer up his ass. Uh, to which Parsons' agent said he never said anything like that.
If you're under
So
13, you stuck around this long in the podcast. I apologize on behalf
you earned it,
of my
buddy. You
son.
earned it. It's not the first time you've heard that. Come on, you earned it. Kids,
Um,
I teach, man. Kids these days, that's kindergarten
uh,
level.
nah, it's wild.
Um,
It's wild in Dallas, right? It just, I mean, as much as we complain about the drama with Terry, at least it's been handled professionally for the most part on both sides. This is just this wild scene. I mean, Jerry Jones going on ESPN for long interviews about the whole thing, and other podcasts, and it's wild. Love to see it. I love to see it.
yeah, I couldn't be more. I couldn't be more excited about this, and I hope this really just breaks the relationship. And Parsons says, "F it, I'm sitting until you cut me." They cut him, and then he comes home to Danny
I
Quinn.
mean,
Come
3 years
on home,
and
Micah.
how many
Come on
episodes
home.
Dominic went blue on us? Oh my gosh,
Come on home. I went blue. What are you talking about?
dropping bad words.
Oh, please.
I'm joking.
That's on the list.
PG
You can say
13.
that one on YouTube.
PG
You can say
13.
that one on YouTube. Anyways, wet blue. I mean, what is that? That has got to be the most old man phrase you've said on this podcast. And that's not a low bar to meet either.
I am an
Jeez,
old
five.
man. What can I say?
Man. Anyways, let's wrap this thing up. It's been fun. It's been a good time. Without further ado, I've been Dom,
This is Pop.
and hail to the Commanders.
Hell.